Robert,
Yes, sir.
so I know how much you hate pre-construction condos.
I haven't learned how to love them. Yes, you're right.
You haven't learned, okay, so let's put it the right way. You haven't learned how to love them. And on this episode of Real Estate Chat with
Jonder Perez.
and Robert Eid, we're gonna tell our Real Estate Chat viewers perhaps why they should consider learning to love them or learning to hate them. I don't know. It depends on how you see this article because some bankruptcy trustees say they're getting more calls from pre-construction home buyers, a trend likely to continue. So this article in the Toronto Star, which we're going to link to our Real Estate Chat viewers who have liked and subscribed to our channel. Thank you so much for your support. Let's get to that 1,000. Well, actually, by the time you're watching this, we're probably over 1,000. So thank you so much for all our Real Estate Chat viewers. However, bankruptcy trustees are getting a lot of work lately, Robert, because of pre-construction condo buyers. And so a couple of quotes from this. I really hadn't seen this before, 2023. It's a very telling time of, I get, or it's very telling of the things to come. And this is about the pre-construction buyers whose condos are no longer appraising upon the completion. And so the builder says, okay, let's get that mortgage because it's time for you to take over your condo that we finished building over the years. Pre-construction condo buyers say, oops, you know what? I cannot afford such a thing. And so you know what happens next, right, Robert? What happens when a pre-construction condo buyer cannot close with the builder?
How about they lose the deposit?
Well, they lose their deposit because the builder's going to go after them and sue them as well. So what do they do to avoid getting sued?
They go banco.
Banco. And that's why bankruptcy trustees are keeping busy. And also, did you know that for a new condo to be built, for a new condo building to be built, 75 to 80% of the units must be sold beforehand. So all of this pre-construction selling, all these, builders, promotions, real estate agents, fancy promos, fancy giveaways, fancy cars, fancy sales offices, pre-construction condo buyers are going bankrupt. Robert, how do we love pre-con again?
Well, you got to remember that this is a newspaper and this is a sky is falling reporter that has no experience in real estate. And she's quoting example from bankruptcy trustees that's had roughly a dozen calls. This is not a Toronto story. This is her personal agenda story. Okay. The fact that a bankruptcy trustee is getting calls from people asking advice, what are my options? It's not surprising. It's someone taking the prudent course of action. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? But a dozen people, who cares?
Well, maybe that's the only amount of people she had time to interview, but are we not hearing stories about assign?
Stories, anecdotal, pie in the sky nonsense.
All right, so let's all go and buy pre-con. But anyway, Robert, I mean, okay, so to be fair, there are situations where this is happening. It's not as
Yes, true.
rampant.
Yes.
It's not as rampant and as magnified and amplified as one article makes it seems. However, I've seen personal examples from our brokerage where, for example, assignments. Uh,
Yes.
Recon buyers who are speculators tend to use the assignment opportunity as a way to flip paper. Flipping paper
Exactly.
means they
Exactly.
buy for X amount in hopes of being able to flip and not have to close. However, we've seen some assignments happen for under the original purchase price. And
Well,
some of
this
these
is the thing. The real estate is not an ETF. Real estate is not a mutual fund, but a pre-con contract is. It's a fungible, flippable interest in land in the future time. So that is the mentality of the people that are speculating on what will happen between when they contract, the amount of money that they have to put aside, and the time in the future when they think they're going to reap the benefit. That the builders are not presenting any kind of a buying opportunity at $1,300 a square foot in Pickering to these buyers, but those buyers are just getting sucked in by the hype, and you can't stop them. They're paying 4% to resale brokers to bring in their customers. 4%. That's more than they get paid in a regular transaction. They get 2% of it almost immediately and a couple of percent down the road. And there's no work. You just bring them in and the people fill out the paperwork and then you made 4%. It's a big aspect of many relators' business these days, or for the past 10 years.
Well, the scariest part is when we have recent cases of this where one of uh, our real estate professionals is putting out a fire because they are dealing with clients that they didn't sell this condo to. So somebody else, either
Yep.
the
Okay.
client went directly to the builder or had another realtor taking care of them. And then all of a sudden they can no longer qualify because it was several years ago.
Mhm.
Prices, or sorry, the interest rates were not the way they are now.
Yeah.
They ended up buying multiple properties. They can't close on any of them.
And
I
they were
mean,
never qualified to buy more than two of them, and they have a pile of them. Yeah.
well, I mean, there's a colorful explanation to that.
Colorful.
Colorful. And it's just mind-boggling. Now you take that one instance and times it by 12 for this Toronto Star article. I'm sure there's a couple of these happening. There's a couple of these.
Yeah, there's a couple of terribles everywhere. Yes.
Yeah. And so how do our real estate chat viewers protect themselves? Like, should you right now, I mean, some of you are probably looking at, okay, interest rates will probably get cut this year by a little bit. And maybe now is the time to buy a pre-construction condo. Is it safe to buy a pre-con?
Okay. If you can buy something that's worth $1,000 a square foot for less than $1,000 a square foot, yeah, buy it. But if you're buying something that's worth $800 a square foot and they want you to pay 1,000 for it because they paid 1,300 for it, no, don't buy it. What's its value when you're buying it? Never mind what he paid for it. What do you think it's going to be in the future? You don't know. It's today's value that you're comparing it to.
Well, I guess it's that new condo smell. Like, you know how some people like the new car smell. It's that new condo smell, but you got to look at your options. Like we talked about this, like, right, Robert? Resale condo versus new condo, resale home versus new home in subdivision. And I guess it really depends on what you like and what you want, because correct me if I'm wrong, Robert, but you can buy resale today for significantly less than a lot of these pre-construction condo projects and pre-construction freehold home subdivision projects are selling.
Okay, owner occupied and not owner occupied. My perspective is for owner occupied. The non-owner, the non-occupied by the owner, this is investment property. This is where the tax code will take care of a lot of these losses. Unless these people are too small in their enterprise that they can't write off these losses against previous gains. If they're mom and pop and they got sucked into it out of fear and greed, well, I'm sorry, but they've learned a very valuable lesson. But owner occupied has none of these problems because they saved their money, they qualified for it, they had a pre-commitment for the financing and they completed the deal. And maybe it's carrying for a little bit more than what they thought of. But if they were counting on some tenant to pay for this and it didn't work out that way, well, it's an investment vehicle. Sorry.
Well, there you have it. So be cautious about buying pre-construction condos, pre-construction projects. Make sure the finances work out for you. Make sure you know what to expect. Even though we're anticipating rates to eventually ease off, I guess, or
They'll
get.
ease off by a half or three quarters this year. Everybody thinks it's going to be two. It's not. It's going to be a half or three quarters of a point. Relax.
That's even enough to be excited about, right? So we'll
Hmm.
see. Great, thanks for watching this episode of Real Estate Chat. Robert, do you have a bankruptcy trustee phone number handy so that we can?
No, I got my internet, www.banco.com.
There you go. www.unclebobexplains.com. There you go. Thanks for watching this episode of Real Estate Chat. Take care and bye for now.
See ya.